Hello ladies and gentlemen, once again this is your host PA and I'm coming back to you with the second episode of Let's Play Bioshock. In the first episode we got to the Medical Pavilion past the beginning, and truth be told this is actually a post-play commentary because I forgot to record the first time. So, one of the greatest things about Rapture that you sort of notice while you're playing, and you notice a lot more afterwards, is the fact that there's so much going on. Those little announcements, the little ones that just come through every once in a while, really set the mood. Just all the ambient noise, you can see the wrecked city, and you just know that you're arriving after the fact. There's a show called Extra Credits that did an episode about this, about the 3-act structure, and basically in Bioshock you arrive not during the very beginning of everything in Act 1, but you arrive in Act 2 after everything's already happened, and you have to figure out what happened in Act 1 from all the a little tutorial to hacking here. You connect all the chains, or in this case the pipes. It's pretty much just plumbing for fun and profit, mostly profit. Not particularly fun, truth be told. Or at least, not in Game 1. Game 2, you get a little bit of a mini-game. It's real-time, has a bit more of a strategy aspect to it, but in Game 1 it's just a bit more of an annoyance. Still, very helpful, so worth it to hack most everything you see, unless you don't plan on using it at all. So here we've got a little bot. The fact that not everything is just trying to kill you is a nice touch as well. Security bots are a specific type of robot that you can hack, which floats along with you, not locked down like turrets will be, and they'll shoot at anything that shoots at you. I generally don't use them very much, simply because I find the noise irritating. They sound like bees constantly hovering around me, and I'm not a big fan of them. Or flies more than bees, but just very irritating little creatures. So naturally, we're just going to flip the switch and head straight into the next area. No possible holdups here, except for the fact that that's never the case. In Bioshock, you're never going to be able to go from point A to point B without stopping at least 3 different places in between, unless A and B, or unless B happens to be one of the places.
He's the one that runs this place. We don't expect him to hand it to you out of the milk of humankind.
So we got a brand new machine gun. It's a rapid fire, high kickback, high knockback? What? It has a lot of kick to it. But it does do quite a bit of damage to enemies. As evidence here, I'm on hard mode and it just absolutely tears these two apart. I haven't used the machine gun enough to really I nearly die here. Pop the first aid kit. I honestly, after these enemies took this much damage from the machine gun on hard mode, I had to just check the settings to make sure that I was in fact doing what I said I was doing, and not just like on easy mode and completely mistaken. So enemy shoots me, therefore bot becomes the target of the focus, taking the fire off me, making sure I don't lose too much more health. Bring my wrench in here, get a few good hits in. We've got another doctor as well with a melee weapon, but the moment you hit him, your bot's just going to get him. He'll turn to face him and completely ignore you while you run up and finish his health off. So yeah, machine gun better than I thought it was, but I still don't use it very often, just not one of my favorite weapons. I find the wrench and the shotgun more useful in general. Just for taking down splicers, the wrench is pretty much amazing. You'll find yourself never running out of ammunition because of it. Because naturally it doesn't. And one of the side effects of Adam, as we sort of learn throughout the game, but is never really explained, I don't think. Steinman's in the medical wing. One thing we don't ever really get explained to us completely clearly, I don't think, is the fact that the little ghosts that we're seeing around are actually, quote, genetic memories of the person who's had the plasmid before us, which, as terrifying as it is, means that the plasmids that we get and the Adam that we get are harvested from other people, but we already kind of knew that from the Little Sisters anyway, so.
There was a time I was happy enough to take.
So Steinman is pretty messed up. I run out here thinking I have Eve ready, but no such luck. But this is our introduction to turrets. Turrets are stationary, obviously, and they're just going to deal a lot of damage in a set area. Hack them, they'll be on your side, they will stay there, and they will fire at enemies out of sight. Bioshock is one of the games where the action does not pause when you leave the room. Enemies do still spawn where they're going to, but if you know the spawn patterns to an extent, you can manipulate this to your advantage.
I don't care where she's gone.
So, as you can see here, once you hack the turret, it'll just start firing at enemies. They're not the most accurate, but they do put out quite a bit of DPS, so it's alright. I've still got my little bot with me, which is blocking my progress a bit here. And there is another turret here, with a bit of a narrower rate of fire. It does guard the door that's currently behind me, though, so usually worth hacking it. And this area that we're in now is going to be the site for a fairly large battle later, so we're going to want to keep these alive as long as possible. So I'll just hack this turret, get everything all well and organized there. Grab some extra ammunition and the like. Extra first aid kit. Never really too bad a pickup. Also something you can hack that you're going to want to at every single opportunity you can, unless you're just passing through. Health stations. Enemies can heal off of health stations. This is one of the reasons that Bioshock is a bit different from your average FPS. Enemies will go for the HP. But if it's hacked, the only thing that your enemy is going to find is that they're completely lacking in HP now. For some reason I decided to start building from the end of the path this time. Don't know why. But it just ends up giving me a bit of a longer flow than usual. But if you hack a health machine when enemies use it, they'll take damage instead of being healed. Healed? Can't speak evidently. Which, you know, it's going to be fairly handy because if they get to the health station and they do heal, it can prolong the fights, make you use more resources, something you really don't want to do too early in the game when your resources are very limited. Later in the game, not really as much of a problem because you just start to become a one-man army rolling through Rapture, but until then, just you want to play a little bit more conservatively. So there are actually 2 health stations here in the very first area. So it would be in your favor to hack the both of them, because worst case scenario, you can just use them for $10 health instead of 15. As I did there, just decided to spend a couple of bucks to heal up. So we've got some iced over areas around here, so we're going to head into Eternal Flame, the funeral parlor, if I'm not mistaken. No, the crematorium. So this is our first interaction with the Nitro Splicer. Nitro Splicers toss explosives as opposed to the leadheads just firing weapons, and leadheads firing weapons and thuggish splicers wielding melee weapons. Leadheads, nitros, and thuggishes do have a lot of HP though. I think that I can't remember what it is, but some splicer in the game has actually more HP than the final boss. More evidence that Steinman has gone completely off the deep end. He just starts rearranging people to be not symmetrical because he doesn't like it.
Security cameras.
Introduction to security cameras, third type of hackable robot. And fun part of Bioshock, if you hack while in the air, you will stay suspended in the air and continue hacking. This was mentioned in the what was it? The Zero Punctuation review, I believe, back when the game first came out. And it's, I don't know, it is still a pretty amusing thought of just your character hanging in the air, hacking this item while the enemies completely fail to care about that at all. So, just, if you hack them, they will target enemies. I pass up on an opportunity here, having not played in a while. If you put that body into the fire, you will actually get a tonic back, but I cannot remember what type of tonic it is. I believe it might give you some sort of protection. Regardless, it is a good thing to pick up, and the only reason I didn't was because I had not played this game for a couple years. So here we just have a single lead head guarding this area. I shoot him a little bit, and then have to run away and use the first aid kit while my bot takes care of him. I think my bot might have died here, though. Looks like it, so rip bot, you were quite helpful. Walk in here, and Andrew Ryan comes in with a loud announcement.
1,000 atoms to the man or woman who pins.
Alright, new plasmid, Incinerate. Where the first one lets you toss lightning, this one lets you toss fire.
Light up foes to 1,000 degrees. Warning, fire spreads.
And fire does in fact spread. One of the cooler things about Bioshock is the fact that the fire physics will have the fire spreading to any and all nearby flammable objects. From oil to people, oil to dummies, people to dummies, people to oil, people to you.
All roads in Rapture lead to Ryan.
Just not something you want to be very cavalier with.
Chemical scent in the air. Pheromones they call it. Makes them all dance to his tune.
Little bit of weak explanation as to why the splicers obey Andrew Ryan. Something about pheromones. Honestly, I just don't think he has much control over Rapture. At least that's the general impression that I get from this. I always try to walk through there even though there's a set of stairs. It's a bit silly, really. Anyway, we've got our Incinerate plasmid, so we're just going to head back out and go to melt some things. The plasmids can, of course, be used to unlock things in the environment, and the Incinerate plasmid melts piles of ice and snow. So here we're going to head into the funeral parlor with some wonderful atmospheric music and some blood on the ground. We got a woman mourning someone or something. Just a mask, as you'll see. And a number. We're more interested in the number 0451, our very first combination lock code. So if you wander around to just behind yourself, when you look at that, and unlock the keypad. Most keypads in this game can be hacked, so it's not entirely important to find all the codes, but it is very helpful. Bioshock 2 actually improves upon this a little bit by popping the codes up on screen after you've found them, but Bioshock 1 still had a decent idea about hiding them around the corpse underneath the desk for some reason. Going to recharge your E before you walk in here, because this dude will flip a corpse. Is there a corpse in there? Flip a casket, at the very least. So, oh, there is a corpse in there. Alright. Loot him. Can't quite go in there yet. You do need to wander behind here. I think the armor-piercing ammo is what triggers it to go off. There we are. Door opens. Don't just wander straight out, though, as there is a turret back there. I hack it because I really don't feel like wasting the ammo to destroy it, so that just takes me a couple seconds. And the main problem I have with the hacking in Bioshock, which I think I may mention in a future episode, I have gotten a few recorded before. I'm going back to get this one up. Haven't really had the time to. I did it all in a large session a couple of days ago. But one of the main problems I have with the hacking is just that it gets dull after a while. It's going to be the same thing over and over. So there are things that let you bypass this a bit later in the game. So I think I use an auto hack tool here. Nope. Safes don't have very large hack systems, but that actually makes them a bit more dangerous because it's very easy to get locked into a system where there literally is no way you can get out without taking damage. If you come into something like that where it's curving along to the left and back up, just move the one to the left to the right so it starts to go down and to the right at the very beginning of the hack. It'll help you immensely. Here we have one of Bioshock's more atmospheric areas. In the funeral home, you go to the back. Suddenly a corpse floats down the river. You're forced to walk slowly through the water into a dark hallway where the lights go out. And when they flicker back on, nobody's there, and you can sort of see that door close behind you. But tonic, this is the important part. Security expert. Very first tonic I've received, actually, in this playthrough, I think. Tonics give you passive bonuses. This one slows or reduces the difficulty on bots, cameras, things of that sort. And if when you wander back here, wander back up, and suddenly a guy pops out of there. If you're on edge, this guy is very likely to ruin your day. So I completely managed to miss the lightning bolt, so what I do is I light him on fire, he jumps in the water, and then you can do that. So quite a few things you can do with the enemy intelligence system, I suppose. Their programming, their particular patterns. But it really was quite ingenious how they did all this. Going to find a feather splicer waiting for you outside. Just give him the 1-2 punch. And you can wander back through here. The funeral home is entirely optional. All it has in there is that tonic and a couple of supplies. So feel free to skip it if you don't want to grab those. Or if you think it would be counterproductive. Got a Eve hypo back there. I couldn't have picked it up yet. Think of it, it's just a bit out of our reach. So it's about time that we tried to go get Dr. Steinman. We can't go in this door, it's locked. Again, things will speed up considerably as I get back into the swing of the game. And admittedly, as I cut out some of the longer failed attempts. Got a Big Daddy and a little sister up there. Wander in here into Steinman's office.
Why do we have 2 eyes? Is there some law that says we must? 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 ears, 2 breasts.
Dude's not in the right state of mind. Alright, so decides to blow up our path. Again, you can never walk from A to B or even A to C. You're going to have to go from A to D to C to B back to A. And then you'll be able to go to your destination. So just gonna hack this health station here because we will be coming through here a couple times. So, new goal, we need to find ourselves a telekinesis plasmid, which if you were paying attention at the very beginning of the game when you were just coming down on your trip from Rapture, you'll know they keep at the Dental Pavilion, handing out free samples this morning. And the Dental Pavilion's downstairs. Also going to hack this, I think, yeah. Because again, you are going to be coming through here quite a few times before you leave. At least 2, possibly more. If you decide to wander through here a couple extra times for some reason. And cheaper prices are never really a bad thing. Just showing off some of the other tiles here. The one in the top right, if you scroll back the video a bit, will set off alarms and security bots on you. The ones that are red with a little explosion symbol on them will just deal damage to you. So both of them are to be avoided. Gonna buy some ammunition here. And a few first aid kits and Eve hypos, I think. Yeah, something like that. There we go. Just head right back to the Medical Pavilion because we can't really progress too much further. Got a couple of splicers out here. Just take them down with the trusty machine. Really, this damage is just, I had no idea it was this high.
Sorry?
Then just wander downstairs where you'll find another splicer waiting for you. Take them out, keep moving. So, one of the things when I first played through Bioshock that I noticed about this area was that even if a character, like the audio taker we're going to find here in a second, even if a character is only given a minor role, you really sort of get a view of Rapture itself. The storytelling elements were done just absolutely wonderfully throughout the entirety of this game. Because you just know that while the idea that Andrew Ryan had was justified in his mind, he never really thought it through. The mention of the super janitor from episode 1,
Simon, I know Medical Pavilion is your matter, but you might want to cogitate on this.
ocean water is colder than a witch's tip. You don't heat the pipes freeze. Pipes freeze, pipes burst. Then Rapture leaks. Now, I realise you're a posh sort of geezer, and frankly, I don't give a toss if you piss or go fishing. But once Rapture starts leaking, the old girl's never gonna stop. And then I'll be sure to tell Ryan he's got you to thank.
It was just never really well put together. You can tell that the mechanics of it, we have a couple of people here, but nobody wants to do the work. This guy will toss a card at you, which can do damage, but it also has bandages loaded onto it, so he's just going to heal you right up afterwards. If you go in here, you can find an Artonic and a rocket turret. Rocket turrets are like your average turret, but they will fire heat-seeking rockets at you instead. Just switch to your Electrobolt and give it a zap. Be sure to dodge those rockets. Don't want to take too much damage. And rocket turrets are one of the best things in the game for taking down big daddies later. They deal just so much damage that it's really helpful to be able to use them to take down these enemies. Those little spinny bits will slow down the hack, by the way, while I'm on that subject, because I'm currently hacking it. But as I was saying, using the rocket turrets, apparently it saw something. Female splicer, I think. Yep. Using the rocket turrets to deal the DPS to the Big Daddy while you stun it, keep it in place, something of that sort. That is the best strategy generally for taking them out until you have heavier armaments. In here, nearly get caught by camera. First tip, if you hear that little blinking sound, if you wander into the view, that just means that you are being tracked by the camera if it's beeping faster. If it's got a little slower pattern to it, again, just jump, hack. It'll stop any enemies that are behind you. If it's beeping slower, it means you're currently hidden. Hide from the camera long enough, it goes back to its normal rounds. Don't hide from the camera, sets off an alarm, sticks the security bots on you, they deal damage, and you have to try to escape for 2 minutes or pay the fee. The fee just being, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks generally, to shut down the security bots. Grab an Eve hypo and you can hack this safe, but I think I auto-hack it? Nope, again. So just grab that first one, turn it to the left, because on harder hacks it does move faster, and by it I mean the hack fluid, whatever it's supposed to be. And as you can see here, if it had gone to the left, it would have been considerably more difficult, if not nearly impossible, to get it there in time. So just open up the safe, got some good stuff in there, some not quite tasty goodies, but certainly some useful goodies. Got a bit of a sign of a less civilized Rapture there. Wandering through here, you can just whack that grate out of the way and go find your free tonic. One of my favorite tonics, as a matter of fact, simply because I love using the wrench so much. It is Wrench Jockey. It increases the damage done by a wrench by a number I'm not entirely certain of, but all I know is that with Wrench Jockey, with a bunch of wrench tonics equipped, this thing is the most useful weapon in the game, pretty much hands down. Somehow, not only does this splicer manage to see me, but they manage to hit me while I'm inside the grate, which almost never happens. If you hide in there, you can usually just camp out until they wander in front of a camera or they turn their back. So you can just leave here. Got some armor-piercing ammo under there I want to try to grab. And here we find... oh, isn't it wonderful? You've just got a shotgun sitting right in the open. First thought, I just want to take that and leave. Second thought, this is an obvious trap. There's 2 first aid kits on a body there, so you can grab one of those, but I decide to get the health station nearby first. And the upcoming fight, slight spoiler, not really. I think it's been long enough for this game that any spoilers can be pretty much considered moot. The upcoming fight is one where normally you're going to need this sort of health, but if you have the right strategy, you can generally avoid the enemies to some extent. So what you're going to do is you're going to wander through here. I actually forget about the turret behind me until I hear it winding up. So we don't want to go that way quite yet. We're just going to grab the shotgun and start the event. What will happen is the lights will go out and the doors will close. Go straight over to the little nook here where the Vita Chamber was. It's going to be very dark. That's where I was, for reference. It's just a bit to the right, turning from the body. The enemies, normally they can sort of surround you, deal a lot of damage, but if you hide in here, you force them to funnel through this little entrance that I'm looking at now. And the shotgun is powerful enough to take them out in a single hit if you land a good meat shot, as it were, a good torso shot on them. And somehow a splicer spawns behind me, which takes me a little bit by surprise. I managed to take some damage. Managed to miss about half the pellets there, so it takes a second shot before the splicer will go down. But just start looting these, because they have been known to disappear before the fight is over, just because of sprite limits or object limits, or some, perhaps even just time passing. So grab all your tasty loot, and your new shotgun is now your best friend. So in here, go ahead and sneak around the corner, stun the turret, jump through. There are bandages all over the floor in case you got shot. Just go ahead and hack this turret. The main goal of hacking most of the turrets is not to actually have them to defend an area. For a lot of turrets it is, but the main goal for most turrets is simply to disable them and make sure they won't ever shoot you again. It's about a 10-second investment to make sure that you won't forget about it later, wander through its line of sight and lose some health, so usually pretty helpful. I pick up these bandages for lack of a better option. Some electric buck, a special ammo type for the shotgun, and we wander into one of the scare rooms of the game. Fog, you can't get past that fog, it's just a screen effect, and then suddenly there's a splicer in your way. You can loot it, but there's nothing there. And then if you look over here, you have a tonic and a couple other things. But you can't grab the tonic from up here, you have to jump down to get it. And when you jump down, you can grab the tonic immediately, so not really worrying there. Speedy Hacker slows the flow of the hack juice, and you turn around and suddenly the friendliest doctor in the world until you look at him, at which point he'll hit you. So there have been bugs where people have gotten videos of him just standing there too. Go on through here, you'll find a leadhead splicer. I decided to use the gun for some reason, even though my wrench is more powerful at this point. And just grab a pet bar, auto hack tools, some cash. Just a nice little selection of loot. Unlock a door that was nearby and locked before. You can use the first aid station here if you're getting a little bit low on health. Wander back through. You're not going to be able to get to this other area over here, but I decided to check it out regardless for some reason. There is a key locked inside the door that the key locks, which does not seem like the best idea to me. So, Dandy Dental, here's the place that was offering the telekinesis. Wander through here, got a couple of registers, usually hold a couple bucks. In this case, that proves true. And that, even though it has a red light on it, it is not a rocket turret, or this would have been considerably more difficult. It will fire things like tennis balls at you, and you can grab a free telekinesis plasmid. You need to replace one of your other ones, and I decided to replace Incinerate, because I don't really use it as much as Electrovolt, and I won't need it again for a little while. So, telekinesis allows you to grab objects, drop them, or throw them. And there's a little bit of cash and some electric buck ammo off there. Little did I know I accidentally knocked the electric buck ammo off my first grab stuff, so I'm going to find it back over here in a second. There it is. But telekinesis costs nearly nothing, and if you grab the right objects, people can take a lot of damage from it. It's not just that either. There's actually a weapon with Dr. Steinman in his fight that we're going to be able to use quite effectively. I completely miss a safe there, and we're going to take this corpse around, just kind of drag it, pretend it's alive, name him Bernie. So we'll take Bernie with us for a little while. Regrettably, we will have to leave him behind after a little while, because I do suddenly realize I forgot about that area with the key. And here's probably a mistake on my part, because this will end up with the alarms being active for pretty much the rest of the Medical Pavilion. But what happens is there's a weird little bit of that. I'm trying to see if I can hack the camera through the window here. No such luck. But there's a bit of a weird part of the games triggers, as it were. Go ahead and hack this camera in here. The trigger is this. When you press the button, a splicer spawns and the door opens. If the door's already open, well, you'd think that nothing would happen. But, because of the way it's designed, when you press the button, a splicer will spawn, even if the door's already open. I spent a few moments just wondering if this was actually the case before I actually start actively experimenting with it. But long story short, if you hack that camera, instead of destroying it, then just press this button a couple times. They do spawn in the next room over. And then we turn back around, we can see that suddenly there are 4 or 5 splicers in the other room. So I'm just going to leave immediately. That sounds like a rocket turd upstairs has found a new friend. And there, suddenly our camera goes off. And I decided to press the button a couple more times for good measure. And those guys are going to be fighting with bots for the next 15 minutes or so. I don't actually think that there's any point at which those alarms stop permanently. Before I leave the medical pavilion. Got a machine here that I'm just going to buy a couple of Eve hypos from. Wander upstairs, because now we have telekinesis. And once more we find our friend the Nitro Splicer. Nitro Splicers toss explosives, but they have a small chance to toss a dud. I don't actually know where that one came from, though, which is really the most disconcerting part of this entire section for me. But you can grab their explosives and toss them back at them, meaning that it's a bit like a game of deadly... it's not really dodgeball or tennis, but a game of deadly catch. Not the deadliest catch. There's no crab fishing and terrible stuff going on here. I completely failed to remember the fact that I'm going to use this explosive to blow up the door until I actually see the door there, so I just grab the explosive, chuck it over there, and suddenly our path is open. Got a person in a wheelchair, and Steinman continuing to be off his damn rocker. Oh dear. So Steinman himself is gonna appear here and sick a attack bot on you, but good lesson with attack bots here. If you stun them, even if they do get a shot or two off on you, you can then hack them and turn them to your side. Steinman seems to think that symmetry, due to the words of his goddess, is to be avoided. Dude's out of it, but that's what Adam will do to you. Don't do genetic drugs, kids. It's bad for you. PSA for the day. So, once we hack this bot, this will be with us for the next couple of minutes, and then if you turn the corner again, there is a turret down there, which my bot decides to damage, despite the fact that I want to take it alive and well, because this is going to be... have to use a second Electrobolt to hack it. There is going to be a bunch of enemies. I just decided to buy it out because I'm completely done. Normally you have to hide from the camera here, but because of the fact that I set off that chain reaction of alarms with my trick earlier, or my shenanigans earlier in the dental area, the alarms are permanently friendly to me for the rest of the area. So, bit of an unintended side effect, but worked out fairly well. Need to find a down, there we are. Push the juice through, then hack this safe. I think I just use an auto hack tool now. Yeah, there we go. Pick up some extra stuff, first aid kit, Eve hypo, and some cash. And then pick up some bandages, move on. We are getting close to a boss fight here, and that's where I think I cut the episode off. No, most definitely, it's before the boss fight. So, in this episode, we've retrieved a shotgun, learned to hack, gone through the medical pavilion, got 2 new plasmids, got an intro to tonics, and, well, medical pavilion is in fact the extended tutorial for the game. It's everything that you'll need to know for Rapture in kid size, as it were. Nice, manageable chunks. And there's just tons of health around.